Doing an install of FreeBSD is actually really, really trivial. It's the most wonderfully simple, trivial installer, I think, on the face of planet Earth. It's very hard to screw up. Regardless, all you need for this is some kind of chunk of hardware or a virtual machine. You need the FreeBSD installation image, or in this case I'm using a memory stick, a little USB memory stick, and stuck it into a USB port, and turn the machine on and hit the necessary keyboard key. So there it is, a SanDisk Cruiser Micro little bootable device. So hit enter, and in theory it should do what it does. It loads up the FreeBSD bootstrap loader, which with any luck at all will then bring up, there we go, FreeBSD itself, because the installer is basically based on FreeBSD. And the other thing you're going to need for this installation is a cup of coffee. You won't even get through a whole cup of coffee. You won't, doing a FreeBSD install. So anyway, the machine I'm using is, it's not even a machine, let's be more honest. It's a motherboard sitting on top of a coffee table with a power supply plugged into it and a couple hard drives hanging around. That's about it. Let's do an install here. Just instantly accept continue with default key map here, and give this machine a name. So I'm going to use a name of a minor planetoid. Is it a minor planetoid or is it an asteroid? I'm not too sure which. I'll have to look that up. I'll call it Vesta. Now, don't even bother picking anything else other than the baseline basics here. Just accept this. I strongly recommend with FreeBSD 11.2 and upwards, FreeBSD 12. FreeBSD 13 current is coming along very nicely. Go with ZFS. It's pretty much the coolest file system on the face of the planet Earth. It's pretty much the only damn thing that we managed to get out of the Open Solaris project for the rest of the world. Let's be happy with that. Okay, so in this case, ZFS configuration, I've got 2 hard drives, so I'm just going to mirror that. So there's a disk, and we ignore everything else. So the 2 disks there's a Western Digital and there's a Seagate, and I don't know what sizes they are. They're not very big. I don't care if they match in size. I really don't. ZFS doesn't care. As far as ZFS is concerned, it's a storage thing, and it's more than happy to use it. So there's the 2 drives. They're mirrored. You can leave that as ZRoot if you want, but bear in mind that every single time you install FreeBSD or use ZFS, you typically get a root pool ZFS name, which is the same on every install. I find that can be annoying later. If you have to import the pool on some other machine, if you have to grab a hard drive and slap it on some other machine and say, oh, let's do a ZPool import, it'll come up with the exact same name as whatever your machine is running. So just give it a name. I like simple. This machine's Vesta, so the pool name is 1 character, the letter V, and I'm happy. I could have made it the letter Z. Doesn't matter. Let's see. We're not going to bother with encryption. It's going to be a GPT, sure. Swap size. I have a tendency to run code sometimes that just sucks up all available memory and then forces the machine to start swapping. So I'm going to give it some swap. A ton of it. Why not? Drive space is cheap. I could care less whether it's mirrored or not. Anyway, I'm going to proceed with the installation from here. I'm just going to say, yeah, go ahead. Are you sure? Are you really, really sure you want to blow away those 2 hard drives? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Um, I can hear some disk thrashing. And that's exactly what's going on. There's a little bit of disk thrashing. What's happening is that the manual process of running gpart, which is the partitioning tool, all that stuff's being done. It's set up bootable sectors on both drives and pile of stuff that I don't want to have to worry about. I mean, you can do it all manually, but why bother? Just let the installer do it. Okay, so it's dragging in the baseline parts of the operating system. Well, there it is, the base and the kernel and a debuggable component of all the debug symbols and whatnot for the kernel. And it's not exactly a fast machine, and this is why I said, well, it's a fast machine. It's a joke. Here, I'm going to show you. Here, it's literally over here. There it is. It's a motherboard laying on a coffee table with cooling provided by window right there. So that's a test machine. My definition of a test machine is simple. Got a motherboard? That'll do. Okay, some sort of a password for root. I'm going to go with something really trivial that I can change later. Mostly because I don't feel like doing a keyboard bounce. Typing in 14 characters right now. It's just an install. Network configuration. Yeah, I guess that's what's on the motherboard. Would you like it? Yeah, IPv4, sure. DHCP, no, we're not going to do DHCP. I'm going to type in manually 172.16.35.13. Subnet mask. Well, it is not a class C, but it's only a portion. I got the top 2 bits masked off. It's 63 IP addresses in that subnet for playing around. Default router 172.16.35.1. That'll do. IPv6. I could care less about IPv6. Really. I can configure that later if I need it. A DNS server. I've got a whole stack of my own DNS servers, so I'll just give it, let's see. Off the top of my memory, I'm just going to go with that. Let's see. Yeah, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, FreeBSD Unix is a server operating system, so it's going to be UTC. Greenwich Mean Time. Here, UTC. Done. Sure, it looks reasonable to me. I'll take it. Today's June the 7th. I guess so. Sure. Just skip that. Sure, I guess that's the time. We'll get NTP going later. So there, NTP. Going to need that. So choose what services you'd like to be started when the machine boots up. Well, I would very much like to have the ability to SSH into the thing. I definitely want it to have NTP time synchronization with NTP servers and enable kernel crash dumps to var crash. Good idea. In the event that the smoke comes out of the machine, I would like to have a crash dump that I can do analysis later, although I've never been able to get FreeBSD to core dump unless I'm doing silly things with the kernel, which I've done, but that's not the production release stuff. Okay. System hardening. Ooh, scary. You know what? There's a couple things I want. I want a console password, which means if you walk up to the console of this machine and you go to log in, there'd better be a password. Let's see. I want to clean up anything that's in the /temp file system at startup. Flush that stuff out from a previous boot. And there is nothing else I want to do. I'm not interested in talking about hiding processes. As far as I'm concerned, if you run PS, then you get to see the processes that are running on the machine. For now, anyway. I mean, but that's an option with FreeBSD is you can hide processes from other groups, users, and you can even hide processes that are running in jails, which is kind of cool. Jails are a whole other bloody discussion. Anyway, look, just hit enter here. 2 things. Clear out temp and give me a secure console. That's it. Nothing else. Hit enter. Add users. Yes, I do want a user. Username for this guy. Well, I just need somebody that I can log in later, you know. So I'm going to call this guy admin. It's pretty lame. There it is. It's going to be called admin. Ding. Full name. His full name is he's an admin. That's all I care about. Default UID. Well, I could set the user ID, but I think I'm going to just go with the default, which I think is 1,000, 1,001, something like that. Login group, admin, yes, but this is what's important right here. Pay attention. This is important. Login group. Definitely make sure this guy is in a group called wheel, because the wheel group has the rights to SU to become root and do systems administration and stuff, and your administrator is absolutely bloody useless if you can't actually SU to root and do administration type stuff. Make sure this guy is in wheel, okay? And there's really nothing else to set here. Just hit enter and accept the defaults everywhere until you get to the password. Use an empty password? No. No. I want a password. Random password? No, I don't want a random password. I'm going to set up a password here. I'm going to type in something simple. Well, kind of simple. Not really simple. It's an actual password. No, don't lock out the account. We're going to need that account. Do. Is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Just, we're done. That's all. That's the only user we need. Add another user? No, we're done here. Moving on. That's it. Apply configuration and exit the installer. We can add another user, change the root password, set the system host name. I already did that. It's Vesta. Network configuration is already done. The daemons to run on startup, we've already done that. Got SSH, got NTP. Security options already done. Time zones done. The FreeBSD handbook. Nope. Let's just apply the configuration and, get out of here. The installation is now finished. That was fast, wasn't it? And I've actually slowed this whole process down just by talking, really. Would you like to open a shell? Yes, I would. And this is where some FreeBSD hardcore types will argue with me. But the reason why I want this shell is such that I can do a ZFS list. And there it is. There's the ZFS file systems. Now, one of the things that's set as default in FreeBSD that I argue with is that one of the basic baseline timestamps is not being collected in the ZFS file systems. And trust me, it's perfectly capable of doing it. I mean, Unix systems track on every single file, everything that's in a file system. It should always be tracking what was the access time, what's the creation time, and what's the modification time of a given file. 3 timestamps. They're real simple. Well, the FreeBSD installer turns off A time, which is the access time, because it's seen as being this thing that just causes some disk thrash. I mean, just because you access a file, you look at it, do you really want to update the access time? Well, I do. That's a baseline time stamp that should be there. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say ZFS set A time equals on the entire pool, V. That's it. I'm done here. Well, there's one other little thing I'd like to do. I'm really a big fan of checksum. I'd like checksum data always being done on every block of everything that goes into every ZFS file system. I'm big on this checksum thing. So I'm just going to hit the up arrow here, and I should be able to back up here and say checksum. Just going to delete this and say checksum. Check sum equals SHA 256. And that means that a SHA-256 hash will be recorded not only into every single block of data that goes in and out of the file system, but also to the parent block up the block chain in ZFS. That way, you've always got the ability to detect bit rot or the possibility of any data corruption whatsoever in your file system gets detected beautifully. In fact, there's a big long article about why you want SHA-256 checksumming on a ZFS file system. It's not enabled by default. So, got to turn it on just like this. That's it. Let's exit out of here. Installation is complete. Would you like to reboot? Yeah. Let's do that. Let's reboot. And let's watch this itty bitty, teensy weensy, tiny little motherboard. I'm going to grab my cup of coffee because I've been talking. I haven't had the ability to have my cup of coffee. This thing's going to reboot. And it's going to come up as a brand new, shiny FreeBSD 12 system with ZFS mirrored. And all the Unix times are going to be tracked on everything in and out of the file systems. There's going to be SHA-256 checksumming data being recorded into everything in and out of the file system. And, well, there it is. It's not much of a machine. It's, well, it's got 10 gig of memory. Alrighty. Well, looks just like the installer, but this is not the installer. This is the actual machine. Okay, loading up the kernel. Handheld camera install. I could do this on VMware and it'd be like this perfect, flawless, but it's not real hardware, but I don't know how much that matters, really. We should eventually get to a prompt that just says Vesta, log in, There goes our networking data. Well, all right. And we're done. So now the next stage is to log in remotely because it's sitting there listening. SSH is running. I mean, I could log in right here at the console, but I'd much rather work remotely. Okay, so that's FreeBSD 12 install. Baseline stuff, and nothing else has been done. In fact, the package manager is not really installed yet. There is a PKG, that's the command package. There is a itty bitty little stub guy, PKG, around right now, but nothing else. There's no packages installed. Okay, that's install of FreeBSD.